When you're running into resistance in a session and it feels like you're hammering away and nothing is working, what do? Now, my husband used to manage construction sites many years ago, and one day he arrived on site to find that the crew had already started and they were hammering away trying to get a girder into place, and the noise was horrendous. So they're wailing away on this, it's an I-beam, a big beam, metal beam, and the noise was just deafening, and the girder just wasn't budging. It was just making noise, that was it. So Bob starts waving his arms and saying, stop, 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 stop. And then he just told the guys, listen, just go and take a coffee break and I'll see you when you get back. So he just sort of stepped back and evaluated the situation, trying to come up with a strategy, like how are we going to get that beam into place? So when the crew came back onto the job site in about 15 minutes, Bob just singled out one guy, said, you, get on the other end of the girder. And then he positioned himself on the other end, and he told the guy to get out his finishing hammer. That's what this is. Not his framing hammer. A framing hammer is a big, heavy, heavyweight weighing hammer. And so he got out this lighter hammer, which is much smaller. And then he just told the guy to just tap a few times very lightly on his end. So it was tap, 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 and nothing happened. And then Bob got on his end and went tap, tap, tap a few times on his end. And then he went back to the other guy who went tap, tap, tap on his end. And they just kept going back and forth like this on either side of the girder and opposite ends. And so they kind of set up this rhythm working back and forth. And gradually what happened? The girder literally vibrated into place. It was like magic. Now, hypnosis isn't magic, you know this, but honestly, it can seem like it sometimes, especially when you have the right approach. So if what you're doing isn't working, do what Bob did. Stop, step back, evaluate the situation, come up with a different strategy. Too often we try to just hammer the client through and hammer them into going where we want them to go. And all that does is it just sets up resistance. Now, there are times where being authoritarian is the way to go, but you cannot make the client go there. They're like that girder. Don't even try. How many hypnotherapists does it take to change a light bulb? One, but the light bulb's got to want to change, right? Okay, so the client wants to change. That's an assumption. We're not sitting back and saying, well, I guess he doesn't want to change. They do. They've come to us to solve that problem. It's just that what you're doing isn't working. So when the technique isn't a match for the client, they won't go there. And the reason they won't go there is because it doesn't feel safe. That's what resistance is. It's because it's not safe to go there. And that's just the subconscious mind stepping in to satisfy its prime directive. So if what you're doing isn't working, it's simply the wrong approach for the client. Step back, take stock, and come up with a gentler approach. Now, you have more than one tool in your toolbox, so find one that's a better fit for your client. Then make sure that you just kind of step back and get clear about what needs to happen. Don't just dive in and go to work. Set yourself up, set the client up so that you can be successful. Teach the client how to work with you. Don't just try to accomplish everything all at once. You can work incrementally, just like Bob did with the guy, tapping incrementally, tapping that girder into place, because you don't have to do it all at once. All you have to do is make one small change and then another and then another, because one change will allow the next one and then the next one. And it doesn't take very long before pretty soon you get some momentum going, you get a vibration set, and things start to move on their own. And in this way, you can literally baby step the client into where you want them to be. And this applies virtually to every phase of the therapeutic process. A slam dunk induction might work really well for one client, and to another it just feels like they're being bullied into hypnosis. It's the wrong approach. But you can associate a person into hypnosis and they won't even realize it happened. You can pound through the pain, or you can tap into it to release it. You can bring up a big ab reaction and you can bridge them back powerfully, or you can associate the client into the feeling and watch as their subconscious mind automatically regresses. Now here's a tip for associating into an event. Get the client's imagination involved. Create a dream. I like to start with a place in nature, anywhere in nature that's a safe place for the client to just be themselves. So let them choose the place. This isn't about creative imagery. Treat it as you would an event. Have the client create the images and describe it to you. And just as you would with an actual event, use present tense language, so it's all happening now, and then build the image incrementally, a little bit at a time, by using an inquiry method, asking questions. So, would it be daytime or nighttime? What sort of path do you find yourself on? Whether it's dirt or gravel or mulch or pavement or something else. Where in nature do you find yourself on this path? And just sort of build the image a little bit at a time. Get them feeding that information to you so that it's interactive. And then as they create the image, keep tuning into how it feels. So as you're walking along that path, and just notice how it feels. Notice how your body feels as you're moving along the path. Notice how you're feeling inside. So you're working with image and emotion, and that's the language of the subconscious mind. So as you amplify the details of the imagery, and you're just doing this by asking questions. So, what color might it be? Or what sounds do you become aware of? Maybe there's a smell to this place. What are you noticing? Any physical sensations that you're aware of. I often ask them to notice what it feels like to be walking, the movement of their body as they move along the path. I'll ask them, what are you wearing on your feet? And some will be wearing boots, and some will be barefoot, and some will have sandals on. The clients are very creative. And then any emotions that they might be feeling as they're moving along the path. Generally, it's very positive, and that's nice. There's no resistance to it. And any other associations that are arising as they're moving along the path. Any image that contains an emotion is a subconscious event, whether it's real or imagined. As far as the subconscious mind is concerned, it's a real experience. So if you are getting any emotion whatsoever coming up as you're moving them along through this image, the mind is already associating into an actual event. They're not making this up. This is something that they're crafting it out of images that they already have in memory. And that feeling is not coming from this scene. Whatever they're feeling, it's coming from their own storehouse of memories. And whatever they find in it, it's their story. So they're going to be telling your story even though it's an imagined event. It's their dream. And it's their subconscious mind that's telling it. So ask, where does your mind have you? What are you experiencing now? What happens next? Those sorts of things. And as they access more and more imagery, you'll find that more emotions will start to surface. And you can just gently guide them to connect with those feelings, connect with them in the body, by just having them notice, where are you feeling that in your body? How strong is it? You can have them on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is that feeling? And if a strong feeling comes up in the body, if they're getting like a 7 or an 8 or a 9, you have a bridge. That's a launch pad. So you can bridge off that feeling into the past. And in that case, the chances are very good that they will regress very easily. Now, how do you know if it's strong enough? Ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the strongest that you've ever felt that feeling or ever known that feeling to be. How strong is it? And like I said, if it's more than a 7, go ahead and just direct them to go back to an earlier time that they felt that feeling. If it's less than a 7, then you can just keep amplifying the details, especially the details that are connected to that feeling. So what's happening that you're feeling that, whatever that uncomfortable feeling is. This is a very organic process, and you can get a spontaneous regression out of it quite easily. So this is just one of the ways that you can deal with resistance and stop hammering. It's very gentle, you can work very incrementally, and you can literally tap the client where you want them to go. So that's another idea for you, another technique that you can use, a much gentler approach for working with clients, and it just makes things easier on you as well. All right, so be sure to share your comments on the forum and give it a try. If try it out. If you've got a client this week that you can use a different approach with, then check it out and share what happens with us on the forum. Okay, this is Wendie signing off, and I'll see you again real soon.